Are you ready to open a photo album that reality itself once tried to hide? Every frame you're about to see is like a torn envelope holding a letter from the inexplicable. Ghosts, signals from outer space, time machines, and the footprints of giants. We shall turn the familiar pages of history upside down and peer into a place where facts argue with legends. Fasten your imagination. Our journey begins now, and afterward, you will never look at old photographs the same way again. The 22nd of November, 1963, Dallas, Texas. The sixth motorcade of President John Fitzgerald Kennedy barely reaches the turn onto Dealey Plaza when cameras capture a strange woman in dark glasses and a kerchief a la Russian grandmother. She stands almost motionless, watching the limousine only moments before the fatal shots. The identity of the enigmatic Lady Babushka remains unrevealed. She did not respond to FBI appeals and vanished from sight as suddenly as she appeared. What led her to the scene of tragedy? Coincidence, premonition, or something more mysterious? History stays silent, preserving the intrigue. Let us leap to New York on the 11th of September 2001. On the 95th floor of the North Tower of the World Trade Center, a camera fixes upon a woman frantically waving beside a yawning breach. Her name is Edna Sin, and it is still unclear how she managed to survive the plane impact that unleashed a fiery inferno hot enough to melt steel. The photograph that pierced the world continues to raise questions with no answers. Through which corridors of fate did her last hope travel? The late 1990s. In one unpublished Hubble Space Telescope image, keen-eyed researchers spot on the lunar surface a silhouette suspiciously resembling a pyramid. No explanations, no denials, only a veil of secrecy that fuels hypotheses about forgotten alien structures or covert bases. The lunar landscape keeps the taciturnity of stone while we maintain our thirst for a solution. China, 2008. Archaeologists open a Ming Dynasty tomb, roughly 400 years old, and discover a tiny metallic ring watch whose hands are frozen at 10 hours and 6 minutes. Inside is engraved the word Swiss. How did an object resembling a modern time-telling device appear in an ancient crypt? Mysticism of chronotourism, a dating error. Science only shrugs while conspiracy theorists rejoice. Charlie Chaplin's film, The Circus, theatrical run 1928. In the background, a lady walks past, pressing to her ear something that looks remarkably like a mobile phone. In 2010, a filmmaker researcher notices the episode and stirs debate ranging from a bulky hearing aid to yet another visitor from the future. No answer has closed the discussion for good. Norwegian waters, 2019. Fishermen spot a friendly beluga wearing a rigid harness engraved in Russian, equipment St. Petersburg. Rumors flare instantly about military training of whales for reconnaissance or sabotage. Russia remains officially silent, and images of the smiling agent only pour oil on the fire. Who knows what secrets the sea conceals and whose commands this clever white beauty obeys? An old photograph of the Canadian coast, approximately the 1930s. A crowd of vacationers poses in retro-cut swimsuits, yet on the left, a man in a loose t-shirt and shorts suddenly stands out, as if he has stepped from a modern beach. Some see proof of chronomigration, others merely fashion ahead of its time. Meanwhile, the frame continues to nourish the imagination of paradox hunters. 1918, the First World War. A group portrait of British pilots and mechanics is taken 2 days after the death of mechanic Freddie Jackson, who was pulled into a propeller. On the developed plate, a smiling face appears behind one figure. Apparently, Jackson himself. A joke of double exposure or a greeting from the beyond? Debates have lasted more than a century, and the ghostly mechanic still serves in the picture. Germany, early 2000s. Hunters set up a camera trap in the wilderness, hoping for shots of roe deer or boar. Indeed, an animal appears, yet above it, a bipedal figure with blazing lantern-like eyes looms. Perhaps it is a play of reflections and a chance-long exposure. Then again, the forest may shelter its own spirits unwilling to reveal their masks. 2011, the Baltic seabed. Swedish treasure seekers run sonar scans and record a shape resembling a science fiction starship about 70 meters in diameter. As divers approach, equipment glitches and sensors go blind. Expeditions fold with nothing, and the Baltic UFO remains on the map of enigmas under the arrow labeled Still Unexplained. Summer, 1975. Diane and Peter Burlow visit St. Martin's Church in the English village of Worsted to admire its antiquity. Peter snaps a photo of his praying wife, unaware that on the developed film, a transcendent figure in white will sit beside Diane, the classic glow of the White Lady, a healer from parish legend. Experts found neither dust on the lens nor double exposure, and the local vicar merely shrugged. "The ghost appears," he said, "to those who need heavenly healing." The photo entered the golden treasury of world mysticism and still inspires reverent awe in everyone seeking answers where science is powerless. February 1942. A couple of months after Pearl Harbor, the sky over California is lanced by searchlights, and coastal artillery fires more than 1,500 shells at supposed enemy planes. Panic ripens above the night-black film capital, deafening thunder, explosions, and not a single downed craft. The Army's official version is radar error, yet eyewitnesses swore they saw something enormous beyond earthly aerodynamics. The cross-shaped beams in the photographs still raise questions. Does an extraterrestrial visit lie hidden in the archives? A narrow valley in central Norway has gifted observers mysterious glowing spheres, white, amber, scarlet, every year since the 1930s. They hover, dart away, fade, and flare anew as though playing with human attention. Scientists launched the entire Project Hessdalen, recording spectra, trajectories, and temperatures, yet the chemical or plasma recipe for these starless bolides remains secret. Hessdalen has become a living museum of nature as fantasist, drawing pilgrims as stubbornly as Stonehenge once did, all yearning to see unearthly energy dancing above pine tops. Death Valley, a sun-scorched dry lakebed where tens of meters-long zigzags stretch across cracked mud. Stone blocks weighing up to 300 kilograms seem to write these lines themselves, moving without visible push. The theory of a razor-thin ice sheet and an orchestral wind currently leads, yet no laboratory has fully modeled the phenomenon. The balance too delicate, the desert nights too mysterious. Each new dawn may reveal a fresh track, and that knowledge keeps scientists in eternal tense expectation. The 1950s, Texas. The Coopers celebrate housewarming. A happy mother, grandmother, and two little ones line up for a keepsake shot. Development brings shock. A human figure hangs upside down beside the woman as if falling from the ceiling. Some blame double exposure, others whisper poltergeist. The house long ago changed owners, yet the story of the fallen uninvited guest still freezes hearts of paranormal connoisseurs. August 1977. The Big Ear radio telescope in Ohio catches a powerful narrow-band burst, 72 seconds of pure mystery from the constellation Sagittarius. Astronomer Jerry Amon, stunned by the signal's perfection, circles the printout in red felt tip and writes a single word, "Wow." Neither before nor since has the equipment detected anything similar. A brief handshake from boundless space on which humankind never managed to return the greeting. February 1959, the Urals Dyatlov Pass. On the film of the deceased hikers, a blurry silhouette lurks at the tree line, an enormous figure against the snow. The photo simply thickens a tangle of theories, from secret tests to a Yeti and other visitors. Each time new experts step in, The night's shadows seem to retreat still farther, carrying truth into eternal blizzard. England, 1964. Firefighter Jim Templeton takes his daughter for a picnic at Solway Firth and snaps a series of photos. Upon development, a white spacesuited figure appears behind the girl. No outsider was present on the empty marsh. Kodak and police examined the shot and did not dispute the negative's authenticity, but the explanation that it was a woman in a starched dress only fanned curiosity. The Solway spaceman became cult, reminding us that sometimes a family portrait hides a letter from deep space. December 1900. The Hebrides weather is harsh, yet a supply ship approaches Flannan Lighthouse. The door is locked from inside, the lamp is lit, the table is set, yet the three keepers, Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald MacArthur, have vanished without trace. No bodies, no cry for help. Theories range from a giant wave to a ghost ship and even alien abduction. But a century later, the lighthouse still gazes with lantern eyes into the gray sea without an answer. On a yellowed photograph from the American Civil War era, a group of soldiers proudly holds outstretched the body of a creature with massive wings and a horned beak. If it is 19th century trickery, it is too artful. If real, natural history must rewrite one of its final acts. Skeptics point to staging. Enthusiasts cite anatomical details too accurate for a toy. The image remains a poster of the eternal argument. Where is the line between legend and chronicle? Another frame from the Dyatlov case. Projectionist Yuri Kolchenko takes a last photo inside the tent. A bright flash pierces the slashed canvas, as if someone or something peeks inside. Is it the cold reflection of a lantern, or an unwelcome guest of the snowy plateau? Experts proposed no confident hypothesis. One thing is clear: this photograph cemented the tragedy as one of the greatest Russian mysteries of the 20th century. 2007, California. After rumors of thieves, a ranch owner sets up a surveillance camera and captures video of two thin legs without a torso walking across the yard, draped in white cloth. The internet promptly christens the creature the Fresno Nightcrawler. Some believe it a kid's pajama prank on poles. Others see biology that does not fit earthly catalogs. The story has grown into urban folklore, and tourists now flock to Fresno, hoping to catch new footage of wandering sheets. The 31st of January, 1921, Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. A 5-masted schooner freighter sits aground, sails partly raised, galley stocked, ship's log missing, and the crew seems to have dissolved in fog. No sign of struggle, no damage, no lifeboats. The U.S. Navy investigation stalled. Theories ranged from piracy and mutiny to a smuggling raid, yet none explained why the vessel looked voyage-ready while the men disappeared without trace. Since then, the Deering has become an icon of sea mystique, another reminder that the ocean can erase names as easily as the tide erases footprints in sand. Winter, 45. The tanker SS Waterton loses 2 sailors while cleaning fuel tanks, poisonous fumes taking their toll. Then the inexplicable begins. The crew sees silhouettes of the dead in the waves, apparently swimming beside the hull. The captain, stunned by mass witness reports, takes a photograph, and the developed print shows 2 blurred yet eerily recognizable faces. Specialists suspected water currents, reflections, even fraud, but no examination produced a convincing, rational verdict. Sailors swore the ghosts followed the ship until it returned to port, as though demanding proper farewells. 2013, a quiet Californian suburb. A married couple walking their dog stumbles upon a rusty tin can that glints with a gold coin in the morning sun. Soon they unearth 7 more vessels containing 1,411 perfectly preserved 19th century coins worth over $10 million. No mint mark, no travel receipts, complete historical blankness. Who needed to hide such capital? Why did no one return for it? The hoard was dubbed Saddle Ridge and put up for auction, yet answers to the main questions, who, when, why, remain unfound. Switzerland, mid-70s. One-armed farmer contactee Eduard Billy Meyer presents a series of crystal-clear photos of Pleiadian disks hovering over Zurich hills. Shiny saucers seem suspended above idyllic pastures, casting shadows on the grass. Skeptics found suspicious strings and miniatures, but some film experts declared the negatives free of simple fakery. Meyer swears aliens tasked him with warning humanity about the future. And while debate over forgery continues, his photos rank among the most studied ufological relics. Early noughties, dawn of internet forums. User John Titer uploads images of a bulky block labeled C204 and detailed circuitry, the portable Chrono Mobile, allegedly installed in a sports car trunk. Titer claims he arrived from 2036 to obtain an old computer IBM 5100 necessary to bypass the Y error. He predicts the United States will break into de facto regions and a world war by 2015. His posts cease as abruptly as they began, and photos of gravitational rings still roam the net, fueling a cult around a figure who may never have existed. 63rd year of the last century. In the parish of Newby, North Yorkshire, a vicar completes restoration of an ancient altar. A photographer captures the interior, and on the film develops a full-length robed figure with an elongated plague mask standing by the choir. Experts checked optics, exposure, chemicals, no flaw found. Life magazine publishes the shot, calling it the most convincing church ghost of England. Decades later, no specialist has exposed engineering trickery, and parishioners still prefer to avoid evening services. Andalusia, 1971. Maria Pereira's house suddenly comes alive. On the cement floor appear painted, as if by brush, human faces, sad, screaming, aged. The family grinds away layers with a sander, pours concrete, yet new masks re-emerge. Ufologists, psychics, chemists, dozens of committees took samples, stating forgery impossible without complex pigments unobtainable in the village. The Belmez faces became an unofficial Sistine floor of the paranormal world. Every year, tourists arrive to watch how concrete keeps its gallery of souls. Southern Iraq, the 19th year of the last century. Mesopotamian archaeologists lift from a layer of the 6th millennium BCE tiny clay figurines with elongated heads, almond eyes, and textured scales on their bodies. Are they cult idols, images of reptile gods, or artistic symbols of fertility? No one knows. Ancient astronaut theorists see in the Ubaid figurines replicas of alien visitors. Academics cautiously call them archaic totems. Either way, these big-headed creations remain among civilization's most enigmatic artifacts, older than the pyramids by millennia. November 1936. Reporters for Country Life photograph the oak staircase of Raynham Hall, Norfolk. On one plate appears a luminous cloud, inside which stands a woman's silhouette in old dress. The details match the legend of Dorothy Walpole, allegedly locked by her husband until death within the mansion walls. Investigations by National Geographic, the British Society for Psychical Research, and independent optics specialists found no manipulation. The Brown Lady photo became the byword for perfect ghost evidence, a museum frozen in a single frame. The 1930s. Workers of the United Fruit Company clear jungle and discover hundreds of flawless stone spheres up to 2.5 meters in diameter and weighing up to 16 tons. The material is hard granodiorite. No pre-Columbian tools for such precise polishing are known. The spheres align along lines oriented to constellations or guard entrances to settlements of the Dikis people. How were they moved without wheels or winches? For what? Astronomy? Ritual? Status symbol? Questions, like the spheres themselves, remain motionless. Punkt 1. Imagine you are flying from Austria to London, a feather-white plane outside the window. Suddenly, passenger Nick Onufru notices atop a cloud mountain a giant figure, as if someone stands there casting a sharp shadow. Most likely, it is merely a whimsical dome of updrafts lit by the sun, yet the frame became viral proof of how meteorology can turn into mythic theater. December 1972. In NASA's photo archive of the final Apollo expedition, researchers find a frame marked blank. Astonishingly, on the empty film, they discern a silhouette of perfect triangular shape, as though a pyramidal structure rises above the lunar horizon. The agency explained the image as emulsion defect, while cosmic mystery fans called it a plea to look more closely at the silver globe. A young woman poses happily, a mischievous landscape behind her. Her heart freezes when development reveals a man's figure in the background, her husband, who died 13 years earlier. Photographers swear no stranger entered the lens. The photo quickly acquires the legend of returned love, for grief sometimes seems to find a way to appear in a frame again. Spring 2020. The Pentagon releases 3 videos in which U.S. Navy pilots excitedly discuss a target executing maneuvers with accelerations impossible for ordinary planes. The military candidly admits the origin of the objects is unknown. Thus, for the first time at state level, the term UAP is uttered, and old debates over UFOs overnight become subjects of official briefings. During low tide on a Breton beach, a boulder reveals an inscription dated the 18th century. Letters, numbers, half-erased ship outlines. Locals offer €2,000 to whomever can decipher the mysterious phrase. Linguists puzzle over a mix of Breton, French, perhaps Caesar cipher. Meanwhile, the riddle warms tourist interest in the village, as though inviting one to try on the role of a crypto-Champollion. A 1987 comedy. In one scene behind actor Ted Danson's character, a pale, boyish figure is visible. Rumor claims it is the spirit of a child who died in the house supposedly used for filming. Movie buffs debated for weeks, until the studio showed the figure was an ordinary cardboard stand-up of Danson's face from a cutscene. The legend, however, did not vanish, for a good tale outlives any refutation. Google Maps users spot in China's Gobi Desert gigantic white lines and grids visible only from orbit. Some speak of targets for spy satellite calibration, others of sites for secret military tests. Official comment is absent, and the schemes remain on the sand like the handwritten signature of an unfinished project. Australia, 1964. French photographer Robert Sarek shoots coastal Queensland waters and captures a dark silhouette serpent as long as a 2-story house. Some are sure it is a sunken log, others see a relic monster. The film was studied and showed no montage, yet no repeat encounter occurred. Half a century later, the sea's surface keeps silent about the hidden giant. Tiwi Islands, Northern Australia. From September to March, almost daily, exactly at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a titanic cumulonimbus front rises, nicknamed Hector. Scientists blame the regularity on coastal breezes and tropical heat, yet the precise physical alarm clock of the storm is uncalculated. Local Aboriginal people say more simply, Hector is the spirit of the island who likes to announce himself loudly. Siberia. The 30th of June, 1908. A scorched forest area of 2,000 square kilometers and not a single crater. Theories range from a comet burned in the atmosphere to a guessed antimatter boulder. Expeditions gathered only fused resin and magnetic anomalies. The taiga still whispers of the night when the sky burned brighter than the sun. Greenwich, 1966. Reverend Ralph Hardy photographs a Baroque spiral in the National Maritime Museum. And by the railing appears a translucent figure in monkish garb. Leading film experts found no trace of double exposure, and the museum hung the photo next to the staircase. Some visitors seek optical trickery, others quiet confirmation that history never fully departs. New Mexico. Some residents for years hear a low diesel hum, while scientific microphones record silence. Acoustic investigations, hypotheses of ultra-long lithospheric waves, even accusations of Pentagon black projects, all fruitless. The Taos hum has long symbolized a phenomenon heard not by ears, but apparently by the brain itself. The 16th of July, 1952. A U.S. Coast Guard photographer captures 4 bright lamps in a V formation over the station at Salem. 3 days later, almost identical lights appear over Washington, prompting interception and newspaper sensation. The temperature inversion theory remains unaccepted by many. Those July nights were too synchronous. Canada, May 1967. Amateur geologist Stefan Mihalak encounters a landed saucer-shaped craft at Falcon Lake. A lattice nozzle exhales hot gas, leaving a perfectly neat grid of burns on his shirt. Doctors record radiation-like symptoms, and the military closes the case with no conclusions. Mihalak's burn pattern became one of the most documented physical UFO proofs. The morning of the 10th of June, 2008. From a drone above Barbary Castle, Wiltshire, an ideal circular pattern appears. 32 sectors seem to encode the number pi to the 10th significant digit. Astrophysicist Michael Reed demonstrates the mathematical accuracy of the figure. The farmer shrugs, and masters of meditative board and rope remain silent. The legend of crop circles receives a new twist, with pure geometry and, again, no confessed artist. Alentejo's desert region, 2016. A blurry video shows a thin creature dashing between bushes. The internet immediately dubs the footage the European chupacabra. Biologists suggest a fox with mange, but cryptozoologists are convinced the classic goat vampire has ventured far beyond the New World. Which photograph did you find the most mysterious? Share your opinion in the comments. That is all for now. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and give us a like. Meanwhile, we invite you to watch our 2 previous top videos.